Funny or Die has taken over this movie. Tonight, the Divorced Dad's Cooking Show.
Welcome to Cooking for One, Cooking for Three every other weekend. A cooking show for all my fellow divorced dads.
Wesley's getting ready for the President's Day school pageant. He's stuck playing Taft, and nobody gives a rat's ass about Taft. But he might still get to play Lincoln, because his friend Danny, the one they like so much because he never does anything wrong, was supposed to play Lincoln, but got pulled from school today by his parents. Why?
He got caught with this stuff called AIDS.
AIDS?
AIDS.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
Boy, he must really be in trouble.
With that laugh track, kid, we're all in trouble. Marcia calls the school super AIDS tendant, who says they're positive Danny's positive. George is confused because Danny is like 7, way too young to be rearranging guts without a rubber. Mr. Belvedere says Danny is a hemophiliac and must have gotten a bad sack of the red stuff in a transfusion. And while they check donor blood now, everyone was too busy seeing Ghostbusters a few years back to dot the I's and cross the T cells. They ask Wes if he knows what AIDS is.
I mean, it's real bad, and you get in real bad trouble if you get caught with it. Sort of like shoplifting.
This fucking laugh track. They explain AIDS is a disease and Danny is sick. Wesley asks when Danny will get better. They say hard to know, hopefully by Ghostbusters 2. Wesley asks if Danny will be sick all week. Mr. Belvedere says it might be 2 weeks.
Boy, no school, lucky duck.
Ha 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 ha. Wesley's friends say they heard he's replacing Danny as Lincoln. Wesley says that's correct and...
If you give me a bite of your cupcake, I'll free ya.
And holy shit, he's lucky that young man didn't slap the cupcake taste right out of his mouth. Wesley's going to Danny's later and asks if anyone else is trying to party. The gang says he's crazy for trying to party because this AIDS stuff is BNN. Bad news nowadays. One kid's mom said you get sicker and sicker, then your arms and legs fall off. Then, after you no longer have arms or legs, you die. Yeah, and you can get AIDS just by touching someone or talking on the phone. Then they realize Wesley did all that shit with Danny. Cupcake Kid gives Wesley his tainted pastry. Whole gang deuces. Marsha wants to know where Wesley is, and Heather says he's been in the bath for over an hour trying to scrub the AIDS away. Marsha asks if Wesley said anything about,
You mean AIDS, Mom? Thank you.
Thank you. Danny swings by, and it goes great.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Mrs. Owens, Mr. Owens.
Hiya, champ. How's it going?
Well, I got AIDS, but other than that, I'm doing pretty good.
Certainly the worst laugh track use in this episode. Strong contender for worst laugh track use of all time. Danny tries to give Wesley his Lincoln costume. Wesley says miss me with that bullshit and abandons Danny faster than his immune system. Danny apologizes for having AIDS, then sulks away to check his many jacket pockets and see if one of them maybe has the cure for this thing. The parents want to know why Wesley spazzed. He says friends told him you can get AIDS just by swinging on the same swing. His family explains you can get AIDS by swinging on the same swing, but you need to be banging each other on that swing, or sharing dirty swing needles, or doing a wildly dangerous swangin' blood transfusion with whoopsie-daisy no-no blood. Marcia says parents get nervous since boys will be boys, and that means roughhousing, getting scrapes, and
Sharing the same ice cream bar.
Wesley says he feels better, and by the way, did all those things with Danny. And now he's got everybody shook about his knee scab body count and mint chip homie licks. George is reading Wikipedia Classic and doesn't understand why there's nothing in here about AIDS. Mr. Belvedere explains it was printed in 1957, years before the US government invented it. Marcia comes home from the library because life was hell before the internet and says she printed out facts. And these facts say relax. Doctors agree you cannot get AIDS from karate class or ice cream, unless it's ass karate or pralines and heroin. Wesley tries to pay Mr. Belvedere to make a new Lincoln costume, because if the fellas at school catch him in Danny's threads, his social life will be the one with a terminal illness. Mr. B says he'll take care of the costume thing and puts it on Kevin. And Kevin makes this plaid disaster, because there's also no cure for bad taste. Wesley doesn't know where he'll ever find a costume in time. Mr. Belvedere says he knows a guy. Danny comes by, using the back door like a side piece, and hands over the threads. Wesley's being a real prick, and Danny says it was nice being his friend. Wesley responds with,
It's not my fault you got AIDS.
which is a brutally insensitive thing to say, but damned if it ain't the truth. Wesley realizes he's approaching the Dingus Hall of Fame and asks Danny if he wants to come to the pageant. Danny says he's not allowed at school, and Wesley says they'll sneak him in, not dissimilar to the virus that hitched a ride in his blood transfusion. The President's Day pageant is awesome if you like boring shit. It's time for Wesley to do the Gettysburg Address, the stairway to heaven of the President's Day pageant, but he can't, because something's not right. So he decides to make things right.
This is Danny O'Neill, and he was supposed to play Lincoln, but he couldn't because he's got AIDS. Hey! What are you doing out here?
Dennis, get away from him!
Geez, tough room. Wesley gives Danny his hat, and since the Gettysburg Address is too long for a sitcom, Abraham Lincoln farts out a second-string Lincoln quote, and the crowd goes wild. Wesley and Danny are post-pageant hanging, and Wesley says it feels like fishing. Danny's never been fishing, and Wesley says they should go. Then make a list of stuff Danny's never done, and do it all. Danny says that sounds nice, but he has full-blownsies, so let's be realistic and keep it to one page double-spaced. First on that list, road trip to Gettysburg. And Mr. Belvedere blogs that he took them to Gettysburg, then an amusement park. And Danny and Wesley said now they only have 2,763 more things to do on their list of fun activities. Only they never do any of them, because we never see Danny ever again. Because he probably fucking killed himself. Or, died of AIDS. So what did we learn today? If you're doing a sitcom episode about AIDS, give the laugh track guy the day off. And if you're trying to teach your kid about something serious, give them all the facts. The correct facts. Because the kids at school are dumb and full of shit. And you can't get AIDS from ice cream cones and cupcakes, unless you're eating them while you have unprotected sex. And don't be mean to a friend who just found out they have AIDS. Because their week is already not going great, and now is when they need a friend the most. And bad things can happen to anyone, even nice kids who do nothing wrong. And there's no pair of glasses thick enough to help you see it coming. See you next time on a very special episode. Alf went all out to surprise Kate and Willie for their anniversary. He baked a toothpaste cake and made Play-Doh pate. Unfortunately, they can't eat his poison because they have tickets to a show. No problem, Alf can party with Lynn and Brian. Except Brian has a sleepover, and if Lynn doesn't have to babysit him, she wants to go blast farts with her bestie, leaving Alf trapped alone in the house, unable to leave at the risk of being tortured by the government if anyone finds out he exists. Alf consumes his diarrhea buffet, tries to eat the family cat, then turns on a radio advice show. He hears a friendly voice named Jody telling the doc why she's lonely.
Los Angeles seems so overwhelming. Moving here was like moving to a different planet.
Alf feels that.
People react funny when they find out I'm not like them.
Alf feels that, too. Dr. Laura says Jody needs to put herself out there, and eventually she'll find a friend. Alf calls in, wanting to talk to that emotionally unstable caller. They say they can't give out Jody's info, because creepy dudes make these requests every day, so Alf asks if they can give her his number, and tell Jody she found a friend. The phone rings instantly. Jody is super horny for friendship. Alf and Jody begin talking multiple times a day, and the family is concerned. Alf goes to talk to Jody privately, presumably about fucking, and Kate wonders where this relationship is going. Damn, Kate, what's with all the labels? Just let this alien do phone sex in your kitchen. Alf says he's in love. They have so much in common. They both love cats. Except Alf loves to eat pussy, which explains why Jody is so interested in what he has to say. Alf has a date with her tomorrow. The fam says he can't go, because if anyone sees him, including Jody, he's gonna be the one getting his gut stuffed with Uncle Sam's scalpel. Alf says that won't be an issue because
Jody's blind.
Blind?
Blind.
Ray Charles Stevie Wonder Did I Stutter blind. Kate says Alf can't go out with Jody, but has no good rebuttal when he accuses her of discriminating against the visually impaired. They want to know what will happen when she starts asking questions. Alf says he already told her everything. Everything meaning a bunch of lies about how he's from Cincinnati and has 2 kids after a brief marriage to a woman named Kathy. The fam says it's too dangerous. Alf is sad he can't have friends. They say they'll be his friends. Alf clarifies he means NFFs, non-family friends, aka friends who might maybe one day touch your alien boner. Then he sulks his furry ass to bed. Alf is at rock bottom, talking to a sock, losing his damn mind at the idea of a life with nobody to fondle his extraterrestrials. Lynn puts herself in Alf's shoes, stuck in the house with her family forever? Every teen's nightmare. She vows to bust him out, so he can bust a nut. Lynn waits for her parents to leave and hides Alf in the same disguise the Ninja Turtles use when they want to see a movie. She says she'll be back at 9 p.m., and whatever happens, do not let this blind chick know you're an alien. Alf gives Jody the compliment every blind person wants to hear.
Nice place you have here. In case you were wondering.
Things are off to a slow start, but I guess it's always a little awkward when you meet up with someone from the radio who can't see shit and you're from outer space. Jody apologizes for the cat hair on the furniture and says he'll probably be covered in it by the time he leaves. Jody offers Alf some shrimp appetizers and he wolfs them down without sharing. This could be the end of the date, but instead prompts a vulnerable, lightning round convo about their insecurities. They talk about how loneliness, depression, and anxiety impact their eating habits, then move on to bigger, potential deal breakers like Alf is short and Jody reads with her thumbs. The date is going great until Jody hears Lynn whisper calling to Alf. Jody suspects it's his whore ex-wife, Kathy. Alf tries to explain it's just the teenage girl he lives with, which is not an explanation that puts Jody's mind at ease. Alf says he wishes he could tell her the truth, but he can't. He just wants Jody to know he cares about her. She cares about him. Alf wants her to take a chance. She says Yes, because the dating scene in LA is really this bad. Alf whispers something mysterious we don't get to hear. Wait, did Lost in Translation rip off Alf? Jody says Alf's whisper sounds good, shakes his hand goodbye, and becomes urgently concerned about her cat hair situation. Lynn says she's glad it's all over. Alf says it's not over, because we do see Jody again, because she's coming over for dinner Saturday night. So what did we learn today? Blind women are horny as hell, and will meet up with short hairy dudes they met over the radio to feed them plates of shrimp. And being an alien is lonely. But if you have to spend the rest of your life in the valley with these goobers, it's enough to drive you cuckoo. And men ain't shit. If they say they want friendship, they probably want sex. And they'll say anything to maybe get that sex, including making up a fake ex-wife from Cincinnati. But fellas, be careful with your lies, because they might jeopardize your chances with the horny blind lady when she thinks Kathy's at the door thanks to her heightened sense of hearing. And Lost in Translation ripped off season 1 of Alf. See you next time on a very special episode.
Just relax and enjoy the sounds, everybody. What is this?
This is Funny or Die TV.
DJ's volunteering at a nursing home with her adopted grandparent, Eddie. Danny's proud she's spending time in a giant refrigerator for expiring humans. DJ doesn't know what to talk about with a 75-year-old man. Joey says they have so much in common. They both have dead moms. Plus, she can always ask him about the Great Depression or the Three Stooges. Then they give her a quick refresher course on what Great Depression looks like. Meanwhile, Stephanie is training Comet to jump over Michelle. Cute. Kimmy says her dog Coco is way smarter than this remedial retriever. Stephanie says they should get all the dogs in the neighborhood to come by and see who's the smartest, because that's a normal thing kids definitely do all the time. Eddie is playing high-stakes cards at the nursing home and just won $24,000? Better collect from him soon, Eddie. DJ's icebreaker combo about the Great Depression is a bit stiff until she cracks a smile that reminds Eddie of his daughter, Gloria. He says Gloria's all grown up now in Florida, and he hasn't seen her since... Then he trails off. What happened in Florida, Eddie? Eddie says, forget that Gloria chick. Let's party. Then invites DJ to get hustled at pool. Meanwhile, the B story about Stephanie training a dog, who cares? And a C story about Jessie learning what it's like to be pregnant. Double who cares? DJ won 3 games, and Eddie is down $24,000? Jesus, Eddie, you've got a serious imaginary gambling problem. DJ has to get home to her backyard dog show, and Eddie says that sounds sick. He loves dogs. He ate one during the Great Depression. DJ wonders if they need permission to leave, and he says nuts to that. Eddie does what Eddie wants, and that's on thing. Eddie tells his friend he's getting the fuck up out this smelly bitch. Deuces. His pal says he can't. What if he has one of his spells? Eddie says pipe down and hold this candy bar, then tells a nurse that geezer in the corner is sneaking a Snickers. And with the nurse distracted, DJ unwittingly helps this old man escape. DJ introduces Eddie to her pregnant uncle and her other uncle, who isn't really a forest ranger, he just dresses like one for puppy parties. DJ tells Eddie he can help judge the contest. Eddie replies,
"Yeah, come on, Gloria. You gotta hurry. You're gonna be late for school."
The fuck? Seriously, what happened in Florida? The dog show is going alright. Everyone involved majorly needs a hobby. DJ and Eddie are having a blast judging these hounds. DJ gave that dog 4 stars. Eddie gave him a triangle next to a lowercase j with 3 squiggles. And a D story about Comet falling in love with Kimmy's dog. Who cares high score? Eddie sees Nurse Thomas and dips with haste. Apparently, Eddie is not allowed to leave without being signed out by a family member. DJ says he forgot to tell her, a likely story. DJ finds Eddie in her room, calling her Gloria, telling her to be nice or he's not gonna let her watch Howdy Doody. Yikes. Then Eddie says he's just playing. DJ says the only game he's playing is hide and go seek with the pissed off nurse in her kitchen. Eddie tells her to chillax, but DJ can't chillax because he's been lying all day and she's wondering if she'll ever see her $24,000. Eddie fesses up. Most of the time he's A-okay, but every now and then he's not A-okay. And he winds up at a backyard dog parade with a teenage girl he met just hours ago. Eddie says today was one of the best days he's had in a while, and he's sorry for getting DJ in trouble, and if she doesn't want to see him again, he'll understand. Danny explains he has Alzheimer's. It's a scary disease that makes old people judge dog shows. DJ wants to know if he's going to get better. Danny says he's going to get worse. He'll likely progress to cat shows, then goldfish shows in his final days. And just like her mom's roadside decapitation, the doctors haven't found a cure yet. DJ says this volunteering business sucks booty. Danny says cheer up, because today was one of the best days Eddie can remember. But take it with a grain of salt, Deej, because it's also one of the worst days he can remember. It's one of the only days he can remember. Eddie is telling the nurse he just saw a dog show, a forest ranger, and a pregnant man. She's making a note to increase his medication. DJ invites Eddie to stay for dinner, and it seems like they're going to be friends. Only we never see Eddie again, because he probably fucking killed himself, or at least made a plan to fucking kill himself, then forgot all about it. So what did we learn today? Old people in nursing homes are spending their last moments on Earth gambling with imaginary money, and could really use some friendly volunteers to get in on the action. But if your adopted grandparent wants to follow you to a backyard dog show, make sure they're allowed to go, or you might be unknowingly jailbreaking a senior citizen with Alzheimer's. And backyard dog shows are remarkably easy to put together in just a few hours when all your neighbors are losers. But if you let any rando judge your dog show for free, you get what you paid for. And we'll never find out what happened in Florida, because Eddie most likely straight up murdered a lady named Gloria and forgot where he hid the body. See you next time on a very special episode.
You're watching Funny or Die TV. And now, the Divorced Dad's Cooking Show.
Gail, no. It's supposed to be my weekend. This is so unfair, Gail. Gail, this is unfair. Okay? No. Fine.
Keep watching for more FOD TV BC news on Funny or Die TV. Who wrote this garbage?
JT and Dana's college ethics professor hands back their papers. Most of them were bad, but someone got an A+. Dana says that A+ is definitely hers, but it's definitely not. She says if JT keeps this up, he's going to be her favorite student. JT takes his grade and rubs that crap in his stepsister's grill. Dana goes to file a white lady complaint, but conveniently walks in on Professor Flynn saying she's interested in JT. Sexually. She buttered him up with an A+, and tonight she's going to invite him to her place to teach him a lesson on ethics. Sexually. With her vagina. Dana drops the bomb that the only reason he got that A+ is because teacher lady's trying to seduce him. JT understandably doesn't buy it. Dana says it's for realsies. She's going to invite him over tonight for a horizontal teachers conference. Because you can't say stanky nasty fuckapalooza Friday nights on ABC. The phone rings and it's Miss Teach. Professor Flynn wants JT to help her do some research about the ethical dilemma of pulling out now versus getting an abortion later. JT realizes Dana was right and celebrates in a very normal way for someone who has ever had sex before.
Yes! Yes!
Dana can't believe it, because his first time should be with someone special. JT wonders how she could possibly know he's a virgin, then remembers that touchdown celebration he just did over the chance of seeing half a titty in person. She warns if he sleeps with this woman, it will be cheap, tawdry, and loveless. JT says that combo sounds fine just fine. Professor Flynn is not fucking around in her bang lair. She's got the candles lit, silk robes on, smooth jazz going, red wine flowing. This is a nice operation. JT won the goddamn lottery. But JT can't enjoy his golden ticket, spazzes out, and breaks a lamp. Professor Flynn confesses she's attracted to JT. JT thinks she's purty too. She's the purtiest teacher he's had since kindergarten. Professor Flynn says she's going to teach him things he didn't learn in grade school, like where you can put a boner that's not behind a mathematics textbook. Teacher lady wants to do the damn thing, but JT just stammers on about wanting to get to know each other better and how he likes fishing and bass. Shit is a disaster she graciously tolerates because she's horny for his ugliest shirt. He tries to escape her den of sin, and she reassures him he doesn't have to be nervous, and she'll take care of everything for all 47 seconds this is about to last. What a nice teacher lady. JT calls out to God, who doesn't respond because he already delivered JT one miracle today. JT says he wants to do this, but he simply cannot, and scurries out of there harder than advanced calculus. He thanks Dana for putting all that junk in his head because it ruined his night, and now he's going to be a virgin forever. She says he deserves that A+ in ethics class. Unless you consider masturbation in a communal family shower an ethical crime, because he's about to go do Jeffrey Dahmer numbers. So what did we learn today? If you're dumb and got an A+, something is up. Your hot teacher probably wants to bang you. But don't ruin your stepbrother's fantasy come to life with a consenting adult because you're salty you didn't get an A+. And there's nothing wrong with cheap, tawdry, and loveless for your first time. You're going to have a lot of disappointing sex in life. Might as well get that party started. Because the vast majority of bummer sex will not be with a kind hot teacher lady in a silk robe offering you a glass of wine with a smooth jazz soundtrack. But if you must break her heart, don't also break her lamp. See you next time on a very special episode.
Relax. There's more Funny or Die TV next.
Simon does his morning routine, duck under lovebirds, steal a basketball, and ignore some bullying. He hands Miss Jasper his latest paper. He knows even if he gets 100%, his grade will still be an 89, but he's hoping to get extra credit for turning it in early. Miss Jasper tells him to grow up, because the world doesn't work that way. But if he stays after school to help the art kids with their mural, she might raise his already good grade to a slightly better grade. Simon is in, because he does not have anything better to do with his time. Simon offers his assistance. They laugh in his face, then do some grade A bullying.
Wait, he can help. You can wash out our paint buckets and brushes. Yeah.
I mean some grade F minus bullying.
Great, this is gonna be fun.
Hey, the real fun comes later.
The fuck?
Never mind.
Simon, I think these kids are going to put a paintbrush in your butt. The paint posse gets paranoid and speculates Simon is a spy sent to infiltrate their operation, because paint fumes make you a paranoid dickhole. Simon is reading a book about how to befriend these white trash drug addicts when Ruthie comes by for a cute bee story about making clay noses for her art class. Who cares? As soon as the custodian goes home for the night, Pete breaks out a can of that sweet, sweet red stuff he brought from home. He says the spray paint makes art fun. Simon wonders how he can breathe, and Pete says he'll get used to it. Shit, he might even like it once he gets a taste. Simon asks where the other kids are, because his snitch instincts tell him to keep tabs on peers in case he has to rat in the future. This puka shell fiend says the guys took a breather, but when Simon says he could use a breather, Pete giggles. Simon knows something is up, because he is not funny. Pete says,
You're too pure to understand.
Simon, run. They're going to put paintbrushes in your booty. Simon catches the gang blasting off on the paper bag party train to taste the rainbow. Puka Pete says it's called huffing, and it makes you feel like you're walking on clouds. The kind of clouds that hover above a methadone clinic.
You wanna try it? Or are you too pure?
Simon politely declines the opportunity to paint the inside of his skull metallic orange. They warn if he tattles, they'll make his life hell, which is not much of a threat because he's already trapped inside this show. Puka Picasso is not feeling so hot. Simon jumps at the opportunity to find an adult, but Petey tells him to chill. It's just some brain paint. He'll add it to the mural later. Simon says he's quitting Mural Club, and that is that. Mama Camden says, no you're not, because you're a sweet boy. Simon says, golly gee, Mommy didn't think about it like that. Back to Mural Club I go. And more beast story about how shoving art supplies up your nose can be cute. Getting mixed signals here. Miss Jasper breaks the news that Pete collapsed this morning with a bloody nose. He's on his way to the hospital, right after he hits a Hobby Lobby for a pick-me-up. She asks if Simon knows anything, and he puts on his best poker face, smooth. Papa Camden's dad alarms are going through the sunroof. He takes Simon on a snitching cruise. Simon finds a rat loophole. He says he can't outright snitch, but if his dad guesses what happened, that's technically not snitching.
Give me some place to start.
The visual arts guys work with a lot of paint. Spray paint fumes.
We're talking about huffing, aren't we?
And if that's not snitching, I'm the Queen of England. Papa Camden says this huffing stuff is bad news. It can cause heart failure, liver failure, going to fish concerts. Pete's mom curses Simon out because he used to be an A student until he started hanging out with Simon's B+ ass, and Pete told her Simon brought the paint. Everybody's snitching on everybody. Simon waits for Pete to wake up from his Crayola coma and tells him to unsnitch on Simon, then snitch for real on his friends, because it's the right thing to do. And the family gets together to pat each other on the back for helping kids quit huffing paint and start snitching on each other in one afternoon. So what did we learn today? Huffing paint is for losers who wear puka shells, because if you have to stay after school to do drugs, they're not cool drugs. And a B+ is just as good as an A-. Definitely not worth the hassle of hanging out with dudes who have shit on their faces to bump your grade 2%. Points. And don't try to befriend weenies who don't want to be your buddy, because that makes you king of all the weenies. And white people in the suburbs love snitching so much, they're constantly inventing new ways to do it. See you next time on a very special episode.